Hello and welcome to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and in this episode we've got another Diamond Select PVC figure diorama for you, and this one is one that has actually been out for a little while, but I'm just recently getting my hands on it. Now you guys know that we love Avatar: The Last Airbender on this channel. We talk about all the merchandise from it as much as we can, and this is one of those pieces that has eluded me for a little bit because it actually sold out when it was first released. And we're talking about Aang. We're talking about Aang himself, the main character from Avatar: The Last Airbender. We finally have his PVC figure diorama statue from Diamond Select here, and I cannot wait to open this up and talk about it. Now, previously on the channel, we looked at Katara. We haven't looked at Zuko yet. We have him, we just never got around to it. I don't know what happened there, but we did look at Katara, so go ahead and check her video out. I think we'll have to get to Zuko pretty soon too, once we get Andrea back in the fold here. But for now, we're talking Aang, and man, this thing is such a great looking piece already. I cannot wait to get it out of the box. But speaking of, let's just talk about this packaging real quick because we kind of have to. So the box is identical to anything that you get from Diamond when it comes to their statues, and that means a giant square or rectangular kind of shape with a lot of open sides to let you get a great glimpse inside the box. So you guys can already see we have this great big window here in the front. We've got another one on one side, and on the other side, same thing. And of course, as always, we have that handy dandy Diamond Select sunroof, which it's actually perfect for Aang because he could use a tan. On the back of the box, we have a very short, concise, but it's still pretty informative description of Aang, who this character is. It lets us know that it's a PVC figure diorama statue, which makes sense because that's what this thing is. And it also credits the artist who worked on this piece. And this piece was designed by Uriel Catone and sculpted by Jorge Santos Souza. Now, what is exceptionally cool about this piece is that it has a variant, and that came out, I believe, earlier this past year, in fact, at San Diego Comic-Con, and that would be this piece right here. This is so cool. This is Antique Aang. We're going to do a comparison as this video goes on here, but this is Antique Aang, and it's basically him in statue form. It kind of throws back to the Legend of Korra when we see that giant Aang bronze that's in the city. This is not the same pose, obviously, because this is still young Aang, but it's really cool. It's got this awesome statue. I'm going to be raving about this thing later because like I really love this piece here. But yeah, speaking of, that's enough about the boxes. Let's go ahead and get both of our Aangs out of the packaging and take a closer look at them from all angles. All right, and here is our Aang out of the box. This is him with airbending elements going on. So just a reminder that the previous pieces were other things. Now let's do a quick rotation as we just talk about some of those other pieces here. So the previous pieces that we saw were Zuko, Katara, and coming soon will be Toph. So we are getting all four elements. This is the third, and it is Aang doing his airbending. And this is him in his Season 3 outfit from the cartoon. So it's him in a little bit more of the, not quite full-on Avatar robes, but yeah, pretty much is. And it's a pretty dynamic, striking piece, but also, because of course it is the Avatar, an extremely well-balanced piece. Something that's very easy to look at and very enjoyable to look at. So yeah, let's talk about some of these things here, some of these different elements that put together this Avatar, and elements in this case, meaning the artistic elements behind the statue. And I think we have to start with where we always start in these pieces, and that would be with the likeness. And does this look like Aang? Does this look like Aang from the cartoons? And I would have to give this a big whopping yes. It totally does look like Aang. I will say the one thing that's kind of throwing me off a little bit is that it's not like a one-to-one cartoon thing, and that's not bad. You know, with Diamond's figures of the Avatar series also, they haven't been like completely 100% one-to-one kind of thing. They're doing their own look with it here. And in the case of Aang, it's less cartoony and more so almost a little bit more mature. So, you know, it's almost like maybe this is Aang from a few years later in the comic books, which if you haven't been reading those Dark Horse comics, by the way, highly recommend that you do. But the features here and the way the eyes are and the face is, it almost looks a little more mature. And that might be just because we're also used to seeing Aang so kind of happy-go-lucky. But this is him here bending elements and going to work, essentially. It's him doing what he does best. So yeah, the facial features here, they're a little bit more tighter than you might expect to see with Aang, because Aang is normally so bright and cheery. This time around, it's much more serious. And I think because of that serious look, it does kind of make him look older. But that said, you don't lose any of the elements that make Aang who he is here. It still very much is Aang from top to bottom. So likeness is very, very good. Just feels, you know, maybe a little bit tad older than what you might be expecting with a piece of Aang. That's a weird thing to say, a piece of Aang. But anyway, let's talk about some of the body language now in this piece here. And I really like this sculpture. Like, this is a very strong looking piece here for a number of reasons. So just talking about the pose itself, which is basically very vertical here. I mean, this is basically, you know, if we were to draw a line from this hand to this foot, it is one straight line. So it's a very straight vertical kind of piece. But what ties it together is all these other elements here coming together that go around him, which help make him more dynamic. And what's cool is because, you know, as I mentioned here, it is a straight vertical piece. What they're kind of doing is this cylindrical shape here that goes across his entire body. And it's a really cool thing that they did here. Because, you know, typically when we talk about airbending in the cartoon, it is this kind of swirling vortex of shapes that goes on. It's very unruly and like most elements can be. But this one in particular, you know, you can see there's great swirls that go around him that swoop across the character. And what those swirls do is contain the vertical piece, but also draw your eye in, because these are all directional elements that are tying the piece together and keeping it all married into one unified piece of art. And what's also a really nice little thing here is because of Aang's different arrow tattoos that are across his body, those also kind of help add to it. And likewise, so does that red sash. These are all things that keep the piece moving around, because if you follow these lines here, like, yeah, they're swirling, but this back one here goes right into this swoop here, which goes right into this, which brings us right back up to here. And that diagonal with the bow staff is what kind of also continues to keep that eye moving, keep that direction in one thing, and also just really keep you focused on what this piece is all about. So it's beautifully designed here. And likewise too, I gotta talk about the paint job, really wonderful paint job. Truly, that is kind of a hats off to the people who designed Avatar originally, but you know, still, they did a great job capturing those colors correctly here. And overall, I don't think there's like a ton of mishaps or any slop or anything like that. I mean, even with the tattoos, you might expect to see some bleed, but there really isn't any as far as I could tell with, you know, just my quick naked eye here. Very little bleed, very minimal if there is any whatsoever. The one thing, by the way, I do want to point out, you guys might see it here on Aang's hand, is there's a little bit of rubber band here. So that is removable if you want to take it out, but it's there to basically secure that staff in his hands. So do with it what you will. For the time being, I'm going to leave it in there. Over time, if you do, it will eventually harden and just fall apart on its own and disintegrate. So no big deal if you leave it or don't. It really shouldn't damage the piece, as far as I can tell. Typically, rubber bands don't. So the color is great, the body language is great. I love the artistic dynamic elements here that make this piece work so well. Are there any downsides here? I can't think of any. I mean, if you want to nitpick about things, we could complain a little bit that none of these pieces are going to probably be in scale with each other. I don't quite remember how big everybody is, but that's just the thing with diamond pieces in general, is, you know, Aang might be smaller than Zuko, and Zuko might be bigger than Katara, and no one's going to really match up necessarily. You know, I don't have the statues here on display to kind of compare them all to, but I can tell you that's a thing that if you are like someone who's really nitpicky about scale, you might be disappointed once you start lining these guys up next to each other. My resolution to that is just don't have them next to each other. It's a weird thing to say, but you know, put them all in different areas so that they all kind of live in their own spaces, and you won't even notice that the scale is funny, if it even is funny. One of the things I really love about this piece is the base. And you know, we talked about how this base is a very important element in just tying the piece together. But you know, as far as, again, an artistic element and just how cool that is on its own, it's a really great looking piece here. Like, I just really like the swirls. I like the use of the transparent plastics to kind of help mix things up a little bit. You can see right now I've lit it with a bit of a purple light, so that's really nice because it does add some extra dynamism, and it's not like completely see-through. It's not opaque, it's more, in terms of actually translucent. It's letting a good amount of light in, but not completely. It's not like a glass where it's just clear and it's just going to shine right through it. There is some parts here that are going to basically help diffuse the light a little bit, and that's what's going to make it look really cool. And hopefully you guys can see that there's these nice little like shades where the color is bleeding into it, and that's just really, really nice. So I said this with all the other Avatar pieces, if you bottom light it or put some dramatic lighting on it, it's going to make them look really, really bright and very, very cool. So I highly recommend that you do that here. So yeah, really overall, no complaints about this Aang piece whatsoever, but we're not done talking about Aang just yet, because there is a variant, as I talked about at the start of this video. And we're gonna go ahead and just nudge this Aang over a little bit, see if we can get them side by side. And that variant here is the antique version of Aang. And I have to tell you guys, like, yeah, I'm into this, like, you know, vanilla, let's call it vanilla Aang, I guess, because it's basically the plain Aang that you'll get if you find them in stores, but this antique Aang, to me, is where it's really a gorgeous piece, and where everything about it just, like, oh, it's a knockout to me. You know, so I'm going to do the side-by-side just so you guys can see them, and we'll spend some more time with both of them together in a few moments, but I think I really want to let antique Aang shine on its own, because to me, this is the better version of the two, and neither is bad at all. Both of them are exceptional versions. I'm a big fan of both of them, but I just love this kind of bronze look. Everything about this, to me, is just, like, perfect for home decor. You know, you might not be one of the collectors who has just, like, you know, hordes of toys out or whatever. If you're looking for things like I am that will class up your collection and really kind of make it look more expensive than it is, for one lack of a better term, but two, just also make it feel more homey and not just like you got a bunch of toys laying around, like this right here is a piece that is just going to make your collection look so much more different and more adult, more mature, I guess, too. And what's cool is, it kind of harkens to the bronze that we see in Legend of Korra of Aang. Now granted, that statue of Aang is when he was an adult, so it's very different. But this one here, it's kind of similar elements, and it's like the perfect mix to go here, because like, talk about paint job here, this bronze is just outstanding. It just looks so real too. Like, they added some nice weathering, some nice dark paint in here to kind of like tone it up a little bit. We still have the blue elements, which is also very nice and helps that bronze pop. But I think, what I like besides the bronze is this base here. Because it kind of reminds you of, if you ever have like a Chinatown or wherever you live, oftentimes you'll find jade or similar jade type pieces, and they have this kind of look, this sort of cloudy, kind of glassy look to them that is just like so unique to jade and things that are like jade. And that is what's making this piece look so cool to me, because it's the combination of the bronze and this sort of jade element together that make it feel very Asian and very realistic Asian, not like a stereotypical kind of, garbagey thing, tacky thing you'd find in some random store. Like, this actually feels like something you find in someone's home. And that to me is what's so appealing about the antique Aang variant that we're talking about right here. So to me, this one's just a gorgeous, gorgeous, stellar piece. But I love them both. I really do. So, if I was going to tell you guys to pick one or the other, I couldn't. I could not tell you to do that. They're both gorgeous pieces. They're both just wonderful looking. For me, I do prefer the jade-ish version here, this antique Aang, but you might not. You might want just more of the classic cartoon style, and that's your prerogative to go for it. So yeah, that kind of is my advice there. Just go for whichever one that you like more. And me, I like them both, so that's why I got them both. So yeah, they're both wonderful pieces. Nothing bad to say about them. Likenesses are great, colors are great, paint job is great, sculpting is out of this world. You will have an Avatar experience just getting both these guys together. So yeah, I have nothing bad to say about them. I really have had nothing bad to say about any of the Avatar pieces from Diamond as far as the statues go. So yeah, if you're into Avatar The Last Airbender, you need to be buying these statues. And well, to be quite frank, I know people are, because these typically sell out. I mean, this Aang came out a while ago, so I'm only getting my hands on it now. So they're totally worth it, totally worth tracking down. Get them if you're an Avatar fan. And if you want to pick these up for yourself, go ahead and check out my Amazon affiliate links in the description below. As long as they're in stock on Amazon, I will have a link there. So you can get these and all the other pieces that Diamond has been doing, along with their action figures, right now on Amazon. So go ahead, use those links below. And remember that it helps this channel out at no extra cost to you. So everybody wins, including my wallet. So until next time, that's our look at Avatar The Last Airbender from Diamond Select Toys. Two great pieces. Both of them are excellent additions to any Avatar collection, whether you're a casual or hardcore collector, and they're priced to move. I think these guys are like 50 bucks each, and chances are if you use the Amazon links, you will find them at a cheaper price. So really winning across the board here. And shout out one more time also to Uriel Catone and Jorge Santos Souza. Both gentlemen did a wonderful job making these pieces. So support these artworks here, get them, add them into your home. And until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. That's our look at the Avatar The Last Airbender gallery diorama PVC figure statues of Aang. I'm Matthew. We'll see you guys here next time at more statue reviews and everything else we do here on this channel.